Lights.
Camera.
Watch.
Oh, Canada.
Don't watch.
Yeah, you can skip it.
Really?
Yeah.
So,
I definitely liked it more than you did.
I thought this was a horrible movie with fantastic moments of actors just doing actor stuff. But this was shockingly a terrible movie, in my opinion.
Why do you think it's terrible?
Why? Because the movie itself, it doesn't seem like it was properly. If the movie was made to be like confusing like this
Mm-hmm.
and like catches the audience like as if like a senior citizen is trying to recreate the memories of his life and depict like what he did, what he didn't do, then
Yeah.
it was done perfectly.
I think that's exactly what it's going for.
So if that's done perfectly, it's a fantastic concept of that type of movie. But overall enjoyment,
It was just
uh,
not for you, essentially. So you're saying it was well made, but you didn't personally like it.
I think the actors they got were top notch.
Yeah, of course.
And it was surprising that all these people signed up for this movie.
Well, it was based on like a beloved novel. Like I know a couple people who read the book.
Okay.
I've known absolutely nothing about the book.
Okay. Well, I have no nothing. I just know that from watching the movie, there's moments that they're talking about this individual and his great documentary career, how he revolutionized the way you documentary things.
Mm-hmm.
And so he didn't do any of that stuff. I mean, like in the movie didn't like highlight his movies. You just saw moments when they were doing a press conference or they were doing like a.
That's the point, though. The whole premise of the movie is that he invented the documentary style filmmaking that like pushed it over the edge in Canada, essentially.
Mhm.
And he created certain methods where he was saying that if you put your subject in front of the camera,
Uh-huh.
they will reveal things that they've never revealed before. That is like his like findings as a filmmaker. So he's dying, and his old students come up to him and say, "Hey, I'd like to make a documentary about you and all the documentaries and all the good work you've done." And he says, "Okay." And he knows that in his brain that when you put your subject in front of a camera, they're going to say whatever they've never wanted to say before. So he is internalizing that and making this like his final goodbye to his world. But he's dying, so he's like mixing up characters and people are fading in and out and characters are played by the same characters because he's mixing up memories. But the filmmakers are trying to make an actual documentary about his filmmaking skills, and he does not care about that at all. He thinks you put your subject in front of the camera and they're going to spill their deepest, darkest secret. So they are putting him in front of the camera and he's there to spill his deepest, darkest secrets, and that's it. He does not care about sharing his adventures. He does not care about sharing his political ventures. He does not care about sharing like his filmmaking techniques. He's like, I'm going to tell my wife that I'm an awful person and she's going to know all of the things before I die.
Well, for me, it was cool seeing Richard Gere time
Do
travel
you think
back.
this is going to be his last movie?
Richard Gere's?
Yeah.
It would be a shameful last movie for him, in my
How
opinion.
old is he?
Richard Gere is up there. Because I think when he did like Pretty Woman, he was probably in his like late 30s and early 40s. And there was a period in his life that this guy did not kind of age, and he just kind of like you know Martin Sheen, not Martin Sheen,
Short?
not Martin Short, the comedian with white hair,
Steve Martin.
Steve Martin. Like once he got white hair, he looked the same for like X amount of years.
So he's 75.
Okay.
So that's old, but that's honestly not as old as I thought he was going to be. But
Mhm.
he's like pretty much looks like a dying old man in this movie. So that's.
But that's the makeup and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So they did a really good job. I felt terrible because you know when they show him be like looking healthy as an old person,
Yeah.
and then where he's like severely sickened,
Mhm.
that was kind of interesting. And what I found interesting about the movie is you had Uma Thurman, and he viewed Uma Thurman the same way. Like she is not aged in his eyes. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
Like I like that concept of like how people were getting older and younger, but like certain people just stayed the same who they were.
I also like that like the younger version of him is Jacob Elordi, right?
Okay.
He was definitely not 6'5" and like super handsome, but in his mind, he was like a tall, handsome young man.
Do you think Jacob's like acting chops were like pushed in this movie?
I think he's good. I didn't think he was bad, but I don't think anything was asked of him that was like crazy that he had one of those big moments to like do what he can do, because I mean the last couple movies he's been in has been like pretty good performances. I think this was asked pretty mellow of him, but I think he did a good job.
I think he just did nothing in the movie and just be a good-looking guy. That's all he
That's
did. Which
that's
is
what's being
major-
asked of him
I
though.
know, but sometimes I wish like if I'm the actor and I'm trying to push myself,
Mhm.
like you hear all this Timothy Chalamet buzz, like he is going on interviews and press tours. Like I want to be the best. I am busting my ass. Like I am turning off my phone for 3 months and I'm gonna be
Bob
Bob Dylan.
Dylan.
You know what I mean?
I think this isn't a movie he took to be like, oh, this huge thing for me to push my talents. He was like, this is a well-known, renowned filmmaker who's getting up there in age and probably won't make that many films. And if I have the opportunity to work with him before he retires, like I'm gonna take it, really depending on what the part is. I think that was more his mindset rather than like, this is a showcase of my talents. No, it was like a small independent movie. It had like a small budget. Like it was never gonna be like the biggest blockbuster of the year. It's like 3 people are in this movie basically, and it's like a family drama almost.
I get it. I hope like I wish like this movie probably cost nothing because I think a lot of people signed on just to be part of the history of the movie. But in general, like this movie was just like who's gonna go watch it besides
Me, and I liked it.
you? And you told us to come watch it like randomly. I'm like, okay, I saw the cast and I'm like,
Okay, you were like, you made it seem like I had forced you to come see this movie. I was like, this is a movie I want to see. It stars Jacob Elordi. You guys were like, yeah. I wasn't like, this is the movie of the year. I was just like, this is a movie I want to see. If you guys want to come. And then you were like, yeah, I'm down.
okay, you didn't twist my arm. I came willingly.
You came so willingly. I did not hype this movie up even a little bit. I was just like, this is a movie that I want to see.
I didn't know nothing about this movie, honestly.
Yeah.
Like I until I got there and just started seeing the people that were in part of the movie. I'm like, wow, because I just saw like okay, Jacob, Richard Gere, Uma Thurman, the guy from Sopranos who always like plays the same role. Is there anybody else that was like really big in this movie?
No, there's like 3 people in this movie.
Yeah, and it's constant time travel. I did like what I did like about the movie was the time travel of like seeing how the world was or appeared in his eyes during that time.
Mhm.
That's what I enjoyed. It really I didn't get much in terms of like music or soundtrack from this movie. Like those are like some of my points. Like I literally have like a bullet point right. Cinematography, I think they did a good job. Direction in the movie, obviously, we talked about because they were just talking about a direction of confusing. Like this person's like losing his mind. All of his memories are jumbled.
I thought it was done smartly though.
Well, it does. Yeah, I think like yeah, it's not like they had to do this correctly to kind of have the audience talk to each other and be like,
Yeah.
we're going back and forth, and that was interesting in itself. But it was also very sad to just learn about the story, like the entire plot of who this guy is.
Yeah, he's a horrible person.
Like he's like the shittiest person in the world. And I always tell people you should not want to meet your heroes. Very few and rare you're gonna enjoy like meeting these people. And if I was this person, I wouldn't want this documentary to come out for myself. I know it's a book, but do you think he had like his blessing?
Let's see if I don't know if it's based on a real person. Let's find out. I think
could
it's
be.
fictional.
It could be fictional, but at the same time, like I couldn't imagine anybody wanting everyone knowing that I'm a piece of shit and I ran out on like 3 pregnant women or something like that.
No, O Canada is not a true story, but it is
Okay.
inspired by the life of director Paul Schrader and the novel Foregone by Russell Banks.
Okay, that's okay. That at least lets me sleep easier at night. Just kidding. I'll sleep easy at night regardless. But do you see this movie at all winning any type of award?
No, I don't think so. I think it's not that kind of movie.
Do you
Paul Schrader is also wrong person.
do you think this movie is going to be like any type of like Oscar worthy contentionship? Like do you think anybody will get nominated for anything?
No, I don't think so.
How do you think this movie is going to look back down on? Because I always categorize it Oscar, Razzie material, cult classic, streamability, forgettable, or legendary. Because I'm thinking like this movie is going to be forgettable, except for the 6 people that listen to us in Ethiopia.
I don't think this is going to be remembered as like one of his well-known films. I don't think it's going to be like a movie of the year. I think it's going to be like, again, I didn't think it was bad. Like I enjoyed it. I thought it had some interesting things. I think it's going to be more referenced back in like the conversation of like Jacob Elordi rather than Paul Schrader. I think it's definitely one of his lower ones, even though it is more of like a personal story. But I don't think it's gonna win anything like big. I don't think it's gonna, just as it is like in the media right now. Like I don't think it's like a big flashy release or anything. I think it's just a small independent drama, and I honestly don't think we get enough of those. So the ones that we do see that come out, like I'm gonna go watch them.
You know what this movie I thought was gonna be afterwards when we watched it? What was that? The movie that Paul Giovanni.
The Holdovers?
Yeah, I thought it could have been like a sleeper holdovers
No.
moment. Because you know what I mean? Like, do you understand why I'm comparing these two?
Do you like The Holdovers?
I watched like 70% of it and I stopped.
Because you didn't like it, or because you had somewhere to be?
I just lost interest in the movie.
Interesting, because I really wanted to hate The Holdovers and I really liked it.
There you go. Well, for me, this movie is definitely not a watch.
I think it's a skip, but watch it if you can. I don't think you should go searching for it, though.
Ciao.